G'day, I'm Clint Millar and I'm here to talk about my backyard ramp. It all started 1998, I believe. I acquired the steel framework of the old Kenmore ramp that we used to ride a lot. It was behind a church in the back of Brisbane. We used to pretty much go there every Saturday afternoon and have a really fun session. It was a really good time in BMX and just real fun times. And the Drain kids acquired that ramp when the church didn't want it anymore. They had the frames for a few years and really never got around to doing anything with it and weren't in a position to do so. I said, hey, I'll take it off your hands and I'll turn it into a ramp. So yeah, we did the deal, and I think it was sometime early '99, finally got it together, and it was finished around about April, about Easter 1999 actually. It was 24 foot wide, 6 foot tall, had a 12 foot extension on one side of it, which went to, would have been about, 7.5 sort of foot. Really, 24 foot wide was just a dream then. Steel framework, wooden cross beams, 2 layers of 7mm ply, and it was, really good fun. Backyard, shaded, ended up getting a box jump as well, which I never liked, but it was a good time in BMX. Fair bit of Proddy 7 was filmed on it. A lot of good sessions in there, and it's good to have sort of pieces of it from Proddy 7 to look back on. Had that ramp for a bunch of years, so I guess it was going early '99, and then I moved to Germany in 2001. But prior to that, I needed to get rid of it, I guess, and so Tim Wood ended up taking it, and he repurposed it and made it into a big spine ramp in his centerpiece for his outdoor park that he had back in the day in Algester here in Brisbane. Yeah, got to ride that for about 6 months before I did move to Germany. But yeah, that was really cool. It was lit up at night, really cool sessions there. Just, another good time in BMX for sure. Then fast forward to, I think it was about 2012, 2013, and just riding parks and so forth here in Brisbane, getting quite populated, getting quite busy, and it's kind of hard to get runs in sometimes and get a bit frustrated with that sometimes. And I was like, you know what? I've been toying with the idea of a while of getting a backyard ramp. So I rang Tim Wood, and said, this must have been about August or something. And I said, Tim, what do you think of the chances are we get a ramp done and built by Christmas this year? And he's like, yeah, I reckon we can do that.
The very first ramp is actually behind me, so it was a spine ramp which was located at Shayla Park. It was a big project back then, and who had any idea that it would become this mammoth, amazing backyard ramp facility.
So yeah, the design started close to the backyard ramp back in the day. It was 24 foot wide again, a little bit smaller. I think it was about 5.5 feet 8 inches or so forth. I wanted a good tranny that's good to get your pegs on, good to do lip tricks on, and still good to air. And I think we definitely did that. It turned out really well. I actually asked my neighbours at the time. We were on a smaller block. It was about 1,200 square metre block. I want to build a mini ramp in the backyard. You cool with that? And obviously his interpretation of mini ramps is a little bit different to mine, but he's like, yeah, that sounds good, no problem. All right, cool. So then about a week later, got Tim's Bobcat in, leveling out the pad, getting it all ready to go. Framework comes in, 5.5, 6 foot sort of thing. And he didn't like that. He didn't like that at all. Went ahead anyway. I planted up a bunch of bamboo just so that we couldn't see him, he couldn't see us, sort of thing. So ended up being good though. Being it was in a suburban area, I was really conscious about noise, and so we had the coping capped off either end with a hose fitting on one end, and I filled it with water, so that when you did ped tricks on it, it was quite sort of dull noise instead of more clanky with coping and so forth. So it was quite quiet. Yeah, it rode really well. Had some really good sessions on that thing. Great having a backyard set up to ride. Building the ramp was a big collective effort. We had Tim Wood, Pierre, doing a lot of the steel framework stuff, craning it in position and everything. But then once we got that up, then it was like myself, Michael Canfield, Glennie came over. Yeah, it was a bunch of good people coming over to help put all the steel, all the wooden cross beams on and plywood. And I remember Canfield on the first day, first screw I think actually of putting plywood in, he just put the drill bit straight, the screw bit straight through his finger, and it was pretty messed up. But it was really good to have a bunch of friends come over and help build it. We pretty much built it on a timeline. It was like December 9th, I think it was all ready to go. and worked all the way up through Christmas, and it was pretty much New Year's Eve it was finished. And then that was the first ride, New Year's Eve. Rode the ramp, was just awesome, felt so good, and had a good New Year's barbecue and party at the house that night. It was really good times. Yeah, to fit the ramp in the backyard, because it wasn't the biggest, so we had, it was 24 foot wide, the main mini section, 12 foot wide of double coping spine, then a platform here, and over there was an extension to what is now, yeah, it's 7 foot, so an extra, you know, 1.5 feet or thereabouts. Yeah, it just worked out really good, and it really refreshed my riding at the time. I was a bit sort of stagnant with going to all the parks and just being frustrated with everyone everywhere. So yeah, having a backyard set up with just a ride of who I wanted to ride with, have my mates over, the team over and so forth. Sort of got my mojo back, I guess, back on the mini ramp stuff, like doing lots of tricks I hadn't done in a long time. And I guess that's where I filmed a fair bit of my Coppin' It Sweet section with Stewart Munro. Yeah, section I'm quite proud of, and yeah, did lots of stuff that I hadn't done in a long time on that ramp, and good times. Being made out of plywood though, especially here in Brisbane, it's quite sort of a tropical weather, I guess you say. Quite wet, then quite hot, then dry and all over the place, and plywood just doesn't last here. It was probably not even 12 months into it, and there was bits of rot popping up everywhere, so I had to pull plywood off, put new plywood on, paint it all. Then it wouldn't have even been, it was there for a few years, but yeah, every 12 months or less, I had to replace a lot of ply, and it just got tiresome. Yeah, so that ramp was there for a few years. It was there till, I guess, built it in 2013, and 2016 had to pull it apart, being that we were going to move houses. Pulled it all apart, got all the plywood off, all the wood off. It was pretty much all just throw it in a skip bin after that, all the plywood and wood.
And Clint's always said, let's do it right, let's do it once, and then if it's not right, he'll go and rebuild it or change it and make it suitable for all the riders who enjoy this place.
So this time round, transported out the framework out to here, where you see behind me here. Had Tim Wood again then level a pad with his Bobcat for us. The idea was, all right, well, let's set it up, but this time we'll make it a full width spine and add a wall ride in. And this time around, I was just sick of replacing that plywood all the time. It's just too much work. Tim suggested steel as a riding surface, just like Brownlee used to be. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much the perfect riding surface. But then I had a few other people in my ear saying, no, you got to get the, you know, skate light stuff, or the Australian made, you know, Australian version of it. And I'm like, oh, I'm not too sure. I don't like slippery ramps. So flew down to Sydney, stayed at Kenny Raggett, and spent a weekend of going around the Sydney area and riding as many outdoor ramps I could in that skate light style surface. And yeah, I wasn't sold on it. It was just too slippery. I hate slippery ramps. So the decision made was to do it out of steel. So it's got steel cross beams and then a 2.5mm thick hot rolled steel. It's a lot more work to set it up, but it gives an amazing riding surface. Basically let it surface rust just the tiniest little bit as we're doing it, and have that surface up underneath. We're painting it with a kill rust style paint, and on top let it get a little bit of surface rust before you put your first coat of paint on there. And I just use good old British Paints Weather Shield, just low sheen. And that first coat especially, I mix in some pavement paint. Pavement grip, sorry, and put that in the paint, mix it in, paint it on, and it gives it a sort of a, Kenny Raggett calls it sandpaper feel, but it's not like that at all, Kenny. But it feels like ply. It's nice and grippy, and yeah, do that on the first coat, and any subsequent coats of paint after that, just paint it as you do normally, and it just rolls really fast. It's got no joins. It's pretty much the only joins in the center of the flat bottom, all the way to the coping. Yeah, it rides really well.
I've never been one to like to build stuff off of drawing per se, so when Clint comes to me with a concept like this, I was very, very interested, and we just pretty much made it up as we went.
So yeah, what started as just rebuilding the spine ramp here, making it a full width, 24 foot wide with the wall ride. Didn't really have plans of building extra stuff, but obviously thought I always might. And then I acquired a container of ramps. Tim Wood got a sort of a tip on this container of ramps that had been in storage for a long time. Put me in contact with the guy, and Basically, it was a ramp setup that I rode in 2004. There was a big indoor stadium comp down in Sydney, and this company built all these ramps. They spent like $300,000 on this modular ramp system and did one big event, and it didn't go very well for them. They pretty much went bankrupt after that. So then another guy bought the ramps. He paid half the price of that. Was like, yep, I'm gonna do my own comp series. We're gonna go around, whatever, do these events. And it sat in a container for a good 15 years and never got used. I got it for $1,500. It cost me more than that to get it up here in the container and everything. I was told there was a few leaks in the roof, a little bit of water had got in, but it wasn't too bad. I opened up the container, the bottom foot of the doors are just rusted away. There's a hole in the roof about this round. Water had just been coming in for 15 years, and the first 6 foot of ramps that I could see were just totally rusted, rotted, and I was like, oh, I've got screwed over on this thing, but pushed ahead, started yanking everything out, and once we got in there, there was some good stuff in there, and it was all, as I said, a modular ramp system, and really didn't know how it went together or whatnot. Tim was lucky enough, he actually had some old plans of it, but we decided to scrap all that and just repurpose it and make our own new design out of everything. And that's sort of, I guess, what you call stage 2 of the ramp here. We made a big, large platform on screw jacks, used all the flooring system and the platform system as the new base of the ramps, and got the transitions and sort of figured out what we had and came out with a fairly decent design, and it stayed pretty much true to that. Yeah, just wanted to build stuff that I wanted to ride. Yeah, the ramp just kept expanding. During all this, Brownlee was going through its next lease in life, I guess. A lot of the ramps were going to get scrapped, and we all sort of voiced our disapproval of that. And so what the council ended up doing was taking the ramps away, and they were in storage, and then they were going to hold a public auction to get some of them. Unfortunately, the way they'd cut a lot of them up, they were a lot more work than what they should have been to put back together. But definitely one ramp I was not going to let go to anywhere else was the good old Brownlee street spine, which is now a centerpiece of the whole park. Waited up for the auction, made sure that I was getting that no matter what. I did get a couple other ramps, but that was the main one that I wanted. That ramp's had so much history, so much stuff's been done over it. It's got to be it would be close to 22 years old now and still in great condition. So it gives me a bit of hope that everything behind me, I've got a good 20 years out of it. So, by the time I'm close to 70 or something, it'll be, hopefully I can still ride it and do a nose pick or two.
One thing I respect about Clint is that he has been in the trenches with me the whole way. He's never treated me like an employee. It's just mates building something really cool. He could be sitting in the pool on those 40-degree hot days, drinking beers, watching me screw some sheets off, but he was never like that.
Making the ramp surface out of steel is definitely the way to go. It's a lot more work than what it would be with any other material though. Firstly, the sheets are heavy as. You need a crane really to lift them up, put them in place. You have to pre-drill them all out, countersink them, flip them, paint the backs, flip it back up, and then, as I said, crane it into position. Put a few screws in there just to sort of hold it while you've got the crane there. Get the next one, do the same thing again. Yeah, there's weeks and weeks of prep to get it to that position where you can start screwing it off, which then takes thousands of screws to screw all that down. Definitely by the end of it, I've had tennis elbow quite a few times now from it all, but it's for me, it's just the best thing to have a backyard setup. And anyone that's had one definitely knows all the work that goes into them to upkeep them and to build them in the first place. Not to mention the expense of it all. I mean, I've done mine as cheap as possible with the help of a lot of friends, especially Tim Wood and Pierre, who've definitely been instrumental in building what you see at the back here. Yeah, without those two, I wouldn't be able to do it. So thanks, guys, and everyone else that's helped. I mean, Pat, Jaden over the times. Jaden was when we first built it here. Me and him were here doing all the drilling and countersinking, and I know he had better things to do, but he gave up his time and helped. And Pat's always been the first to put his hand up to replace decking and so forth. And Conlon, he's come in and helped out a lot too. Dylan Radford as well. So that sort of small group that's always come and helped and really appreciate it. And it's wouldn't be here without yous. And like we all experienced during COVID, backyard ramps were a definite bonus and gift to have. Here in Brisbane, I guess it wasn't so bad as other states or other countries, but at the peak of it, for us, you only allowed to have 2 visitors at a time. So that pretty much meant that it was myself, Patarico, and Dylan Radford. We were just riding together the whole time, so definitely felt lucky to have this set up here during those times so that we could still ride, where here they'd closed all the skate parks down, you weren't allowed to go to them. There were some councils that even filled the parks with sand, put truckloads of sand on there just so you can't ride them, sort of thing. So yeah, it was definitely we were definitely very lucky to have the ramp as it was. It definitely kept things going, and a bunch of the footage for my own section in Colony's Take a Ticket video was filmed all here. Again, a nice timepiece to look back on and see each stage of the ramp, so good times as always. And as of all ramps, I guess, I get itchy. It's we build one stage and we go to the next, and then I have some ideas. All right, let's do this next and whatnot. So I guess we had stage 1, which is the main ramp, stage 2, which was sort of the section before the street spine. Then stage 3 was the big 8-foot quarter pipe beyond that. Stage 4 started thinking, okay, what can we do? What can we build? And that came about with the next stage that you see, where there's the wedges, the box jump, I guess, is the centerpiece, and the big wall at the end. So building started on that, and that was built from scratch this time round, so there was no container of ramps to choose from, so we had to just sort of start from scratch on that one, which made it a lot more work. I kind of forgot how much work it is to build them from scratch. But yeah, me and Pierre and Tim, we worked along, and Pat came and helped as well too, and craned it all in position. It was yeah, definitely a lot more work than I envisaged. Thought it was going to be done in quite a short time, but I think I said, oh yeah, Christmas, then it ended up being Easter, and then it was like, all right, now I've got to have it done by June 30. Yeah, we got it done. Yeah, it's definitely a pretty interesting and fun setup. There's a lot of lines. When someone new comes over, they're definitely stoked on how many lines there are, and it takes a little while to figure them all out and whatnot, but yeah, there's always new stuff getting done, and it's just good fun to ride. Now, to quote the movie The Castle, how's the serenity? Now, I do love it here. It's just really just awesome amongst the trees, kangaroos hopping around, got ducks lately coming around. Yeah, it's good times. Really just makes it real fun sessions in the afternoon. That's when I usually like to ride here. Sun's in a good spot, it's cooler, ramp's pretty much in shade. It's yeah, just really tranquil spot. I love it. Over the years, had lots of various people come and visit, which is always a pleasure to have. Had royalty like Nyquist come here late last year, Rob Darden, Tobias Vicker. It's definitely some good times. Kenny Raggett comes up every few months, 6 months or so forth, and yeah, stays for the weekend and just have some good sessions. Always like hanging out with Kenny. Probably the next sort of stuff, I'm going to make some smaller sort of stuff, just more fun. I'm not getting any younger, so yeah, just some smaller ramps just to mess around on and do sort of my kind of style of riding. Should be interesting to see, but maybe in the next year or so we'll have some more stuff built. Best clip here. Now there's been a lot, but one that does stand out with me would be Patarico with his 270 whip over ice and back over. Yeah, that was amazing. He'd been trying it the weekend before, getting kind of close, but like, wow, this is going to be a pretty tough trick. And then Cooper was up the next weekend. I'm like, all right, it was stinking hot, like crazy hot. We're sitting in the house, and Cooper, being the slave driver that he is, looks at the clock and goes, come on, time to get out there, Pat, let's do this. So we get out there, I pretty much get a deck chair done. I put sunscreen all over myself, big hat, ready to go, film. Cooper's all set up, Pat's ready to go. All right, drops in, bang, does it first go. That there was amazing. It was pretty cool. Don't think we can top that one actually, but yeah, it was pretty awesome. Since my 39th now, but I do a birthday edit every year, and having a backyard ramp of various stages over the years has definitely been a privilege for that, and yeah, just good times riding it. Probably my favourite piece of the ramp, I guess, is still the original section of it, the double coping spine. I've always loved double coping spines, and it's just sort of, I don't know, it's just my style of riding, and yeah, I love that thing.
I guess the other really big thing about this, which has impressed me, has been how Clint has shared this with all of his best mates and has the hard yard competition here, because it's a real contribution back to the sport. He's not the type of person to take, and feather his own nest. He's saying, look, I've built this place and I want to share it with all the riders that have supported me over the years. Yeah, there's a lot in it for me, and I'm really proud of one of my best mates and how he's done and how he's been able to come up with this facility and celebrate it with these amazing events.
To close it all out, I'd just say to anyone that is thinking about getting a backyard ramp, if you've got the means to do it, then go for it. It's such a rewarding thing, and it just builds a really cool little scene amongst your friends and so forth. So yeah, if you can do it, go for it, man. It's good times. Yeah, so once again, just like to thank everyone that has helped. Way too many names to mention right now and to remember, but anyone that has helped, thank you. Anyone that's come over and had a session with us, awesome. And gonna be plenty more ahead. We're not going anywhere. Thanks again. What were we talking about?
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure working with him, and I'll look forward to stage 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever he wants to do, I'll be there for him.